अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः अस्मत्परमगुरुभ्यो नमः अस्मत्सर्वगुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रीरङ्गनाथशरकोपेन्द्र द्रष्टुं लक्ष्मी नृसिंहशर्यत्करुणैकपात्रं श्रीरङ्गवीररघुराक्षरगोपहृज्यं वेदान्तदेशिकेन्द्रमहं प्रपद्ये। श्रीमते श्रीवंशगोपश्रीवेदान्तदेशिकेन्द्रमः देशिकाय नमः। ओम केशवारि कृपापात्रं श्रीमद्गुणार्णवं श्रीशटादिशानां देशिकेन्द्रमहं भजे। रामानुजपात्रं ज्ञानवेदायभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनरसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमुच्चरपदां भजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहत तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। श्रीमते श्रीवंशगोपश्रीवेदान्तदेशिकेन्द्रमः देशिकाय नमः। लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमुच्चरपदां भजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव निमेमया नाम अद्यशनं प्रपद्ये श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथमूर्ध्ना भूतं शरचिमुदाख्यभट्टनाथः श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्गदेन परकालीनमिषां श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमयं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। श्रीकृष्णपरब्रह्मणे नमः। श्रीविश्वामित्रगोत्रभूषणैः अनन्त कल्याणगुणाकरैः श्रीरङ्गराजदिव्याज्ञालब्धवेदान्ताचार्यपदैः कवितार्किकसमहितैः प्रख्यातगुणसमाख्यैः सर्वतन्त्रस्वतन्त्रैः श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यैः श्रीमन्निगमान्तमहादेशिकैः सकललोकोज्जीवयानुगृहीतं श्रीरङ्गनाथ पादुका सहस्रम्।
Please unmute everyone. Vedanta Devadatha Brahman Narayana Sri Krishna Desika Srimate Sri Krishna Nama Asma Guru Bhima Asma Dharma Guru Bhima Sarva Guru
Bhima Asmat Guru Bhima Asmat Dharma Guru Bhima Asmat Sarva Guru Bhima.
Narayana. So we have seen in the Adhikaaraparigraha Paddhatihi, chapter 6 of Paaduka Sahasram, Mahatma Desika in the 20th verse glorifies that the entire palace staff, all the workers, they show utmost respects to Paaduka Devi, all the attendants. Paaduka Devi is extended utmost respect not only by all the palace attendants, but by all the dignitaries even. If they are walking in where Paaduka Devi is, it is mandatory and understood by order from Bharata that they should show utmost respect as though the king is there sitting on the throne. And not only that, even all the kings that come there to pay their dues to the Chakravarti, they also have to bow down. They bow down with utmost respect with their kiritams. So Mahatma Desika could visualize in his mental eye how Paaduka Devi is glorified when she was there on the Raghuvamsha Simhasanam. The Raghuvamsha Simhasanam, which was occupied by eminent kings like Raghu Maharaja, before him Ikshvaku, Kakutsa, now is occupied by Paaduka Devi. Nobody considered Paaduka Devi as just mere Padukas. Bhagavan's Padukas are a direct representative of Bhagavan himself. So they extended every respect as though they are showing it to the king himself. So, in the next verse he says, Praptyadhikaram uchitam bhuvanasya gupchai bhadrasanam bharata vanditam ashrayatva madhye avatirnamiva madhava padarakshe mataha tvayapi manuvamsya mahipatinam. Manuvamsha Mahipatinam. They belong to the Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. As we know, Bhagavan Krishna himself glorifies. Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Hamavyam Vivaswan Manave Prahaha Manuhu Ikshvakave Bravit. So this is Manu Vamsham. Hey Padukas of Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. This time he is addressed as Madhava. So we should understand they are not just Rama Padukas. Rama is none other than Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. He is Madhava, Mahalakshmi's husband, and his Padukas. You, Paduka Devi acquired the authority to protect the entire country and occupied the royal throne. And Bharata is there in attendance. But in all reality, it looks as though the Padukas have incarnated as one of the descendants in the famous Vaivasvata Manuvamsham. Because only the descendants of Vaivasvata Manu can sit on the throne. Since Paduka Devi is also sitting on the throne, Mahatma Desika says, hey Paduka Devi, you are not just Padukas, you are on par with the people of Manuvamsham like Ikshvaku, Raghu, Kakutsa, Mandhata, Dilipa, Aja. How fortunate those people are. They have a direct relationship starting from Brahma. Brahma. Emma, can anyone of you quickly recollect how Raghuvamsha people are directly related to Brahma? Yes, sir. Nobody wants to say anything? Can anyone of you imagine or say how Paaduka Devi is considered as an incarnation in the Manuvamsham? So how do you reconcile that that Ikshvakus are directly related to Brahma? Am I anyone of you? No idea? Brahma. Brahma's Manasaputra is Marichi. Marichi's son is Kashyapa. Kashyapa's wife is Aditi. Aditi's son are called Adityas. Aditya. So Vivaswan is a Surya. Therefore Brahma's son, Marichi. Marichi's son Kashyapa. So Kashyapa is the grandson. Kashyapa's son Surya, great grandson. Surya's son Vaivasata Manu. Vaivasata Manu's son Ikshvaku. That is how they are directly related to Brahma. Now comes the question. Did you get a doubt? If they are directly related to Brahma, how did Ikshvaku, Raghu, Dasharatha, they all became Kshatriyas? What did Bhagavan Sri Krishna say about the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Visham, Shudranam, Chaparantapa, Karmani, Prabhaktani, Swabhava, Pavavairgunaihi, Chaturvarnyam Maya Srushtam, Guna, Karma, Vibhagashaha. Brahma's son Marichi. Still Marichi is a Brahmana. Marichi's son Kashyapa, Brahmana, Devarshi, Brahmarshi, Prajapatis. Kashyapa's son Surya became a Devi Devata. Surya's son Manu. Now comes Manu's son Ikshvaku. They opted to be the rulers. Therefore, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Because they opted for Kshatriya Dharma, they became known as Kshatriyas. But they are all the descendants of Kashyapa Prajapati, who is a Brahmana. Therefore, you may be born as the son or a person in one particular family. But if you are not following that Varnashrama Dharma, you cannot claim to be belonging to that Varna. That is the important thing that our Acharyas have stressed. Indirectly, my father is a Brahmin, my mother is a Brahmin, I'm automatically a Brahmin. No way. Unless you have the Upanayana Samskaram, unless you do the Trikara Sandhya Vandanam, unless you are trying for Brahma Jnanam, you are not a Brahmana. Kashyapa is a Prajapati. His great grandson adopted the Kshatriya Dharma. So they became all Kshatriyas after that. So depending on what job we are doing, somebody is born in a, say, Orthodox Brahmin family, but they are running a Bata showroom. How can they claim they are Brahmanas? A Brahmana should have 6 qualities. Adhyayanam, Adhyapakatvam, Yajanam, Yajanam, Dhanam, Pratigruhitvam. Have they studied at least one shakha, one kanda of the Vedam? Are they teaching at least that one kanda to the other person, to other people? Are they doing their nitya aradhanas? Are they helping others to do nitya aradhanas? Are they giving dhanam? Most often the so-called priests are always there receiving the dhanam. Receiving the dhanam, you know one thing, when you receive a dhanam from somebody, you are transferring all your sin in the form of the money that you are giving to the priest who is taking it. So if that priest keeps on accepting dhanam, he is acquiring more and more and more in sin, that's all. Unless they wash it off. Unless they wash it off in their everyday Sandhya Vandanam. That everyday Sandhya Vandanam helps a person to maintain the Brahminical order. How? The Veda mantras say, Yadhannaat kurute papam tadhannaat pratimuchyate, Yadratriyaat kurute papam tadratriyaat pratimuchyate. Suppose a Brahmana, simple. The other day, somebody came for Sharanagati. Before Sharanagati, they have to do the Prayashchittam. And what do they say? All the sins that are there standing in my way due to my Sanchita Karma, I want to get rid of them by doing Sharanagati. As a first indication, may I offer something as a dhanam with some money to a Brahmana, to a Vaishnava. So when you are accepting that money, whether it is $1, $2, $100, $500, from that person, the intention of the mantras is, by accepting this dhanam, please you accept my sin. And the person who is accepting, the priest, is prepared to do that. Why? Every day they are accepting so many dhanas from so many people. What will be the amount of sin that is accumulated for him? How will he get rid of it? By doing the mantra japam. Only by doing the mantra japam, which a Brahmana is qualified to do, he will wash off that sin. If that person is not doing the mantra japam, the additional mantra japam that is needed in the form of Gayatri Upasana, by accepting danas from you, that particular person is acquiring tons and tons and tons of sin from all the people from whom he is receiving that dhanam. Now you know in that sense how many of the present day so-called Brahmins or priests will really qualify to have their hands clean with tons and tons of acquired sin from all the devotees. Therefore, Varnashrama Dharma is based on Guna, Karma, Vibhagashaha. Karma, most important thing, what kind of karmas are you doing? Now he is saying, Paaduka Devi, nobody should consider you as a pair of sandals. A pair of sandals made with gold, and you are sitting on the throne. Nobody should consider you like that. Mahatma Deshika says, for all practical purposes, we consider you as a descendant of the Ikshvaku Vamsha Maharajas, starting from the Manu Vamsha Mahipatinam. Manu Vamsha Mahipatinam. Paaduka Devi is accorded the same status as though she is also one who is born in the royal family of the Ikshvakus, directly related to Manu. Fortunate are the people of Ayodhya who could enjoy the rulership of Paaduka Devi, even though it is a short period, 14 years. Rajasane Raghukulodvaha Padarakshe Neerajanan Samabhavat Samayochitante Shlagha Vashena Bhushaha Parighurnitaabhihi Samantamuli Mani Mangala Deepikabhihi. Hey Paadukas of Bhagavan Sri Rama, remember when we address Bhagavan Sri Rama or Sri Krishna, Nrsimha, Srinivasa, we should always address as Bhagavan. The idea is everybody should know the difference between Devi Devatas, who are just mere Jivatmas like you and me, and Bhagavan, who is not Jivatma, who is the master of all the Jivatmas. No Paadukas of Bhagavan Sri Rama, all the subordinate kings who come to glorify you and go around you in deep reverence, they are offering harati to you with all the diamonds that are there in their crowns as auspicious lamps at all appropriate times. What do you mean by appropriate times? The aradhana is done at appropriate times, like pratar aradhana, madhyanik aradhana, sayam aradhana. At that time, as part of aradhana, you offer dhupa, deepa, nivedanas, etc. Deepam, the lamps that are there lit and taken round Bhagavan, so that everybody can enjoy the divine beauty of Bhagavan in the lighted lamps that are there taken around Bhagavan. Now Paaduka Devi is sitting on the Simhasanam. So how to give Neerajanam to her? The subordinate kings that are there coming to pay their respects to the emperor. Now the emperor is Paaduka Devi. They are doing circumambulation, pradakshinam around the Simhasanam. When they do the pradakshinam, the beautiful diamonds that are there studded in their kiritams, they are looking like the lighted lamps that are used for deepam at appropriate times. There is no separate aradhana done, but every time the subordinate kings come, present their credentials to the Chakravarti, now Paaduka Devi. And on behalf of Paaduka Devi, Bharata accepts their credentials. Then the foreign dignitaries, they go round doing pradakshinam to the Paaduka Devi. As they go round, the diamonds in their kiritams are there, glittering. And the glitter from the diamonds is looking as the deepam that is there shown, the harati that is shown to Paaduka Devi at different times which are appropriate for Aradhana. Prudvipatinam Yugapatkirita Pratyadhina Parinitum Ardhinam Cha Prapustade Raghava Padarakshe Tvadiyam Asthanika Padapitham. Tvadiyam Asthanika Padapitham. Hey Paaduka Devi, every time Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra's Paaduka Devi is addressed here. The kiritams, the crowns of all those opposing kings, if somebody is not friendly with Ayodhya, if somebody is thinking of Ayodhya or the king of Ayodhya as adversaries or their opponents, so all such kings who are opposing the rule of Paaduka Devi were all wiped out, and their crowns brought as a token of the victory. And of all those who wanted to live, who surrendered to you, reached your footrest at the same time. What does it mean? If anybody opposed the supremacy of Paaduka Devi, Bharata will simply go and wage a war against them and will cut off their heads and will bring the kiritams as a token of showing off his victory and bring all those kiritams and place at the footrest of Paaduka Devi. And all those people who wanted to live, they have seen hundreds of kings. If they opposed Paaduka Devi, they were just wiped out by Bharata. Their kiritams were brought and kept at the footrest by Bharata. So what about the people who wanted to live? They wanted to live, therefore they surrendered to the Paaduka Devi. So when they surrendered, as you say, hats off. Kiritam is nothing but a hat, hats off. So the subordinate kings who wanted to live did never opposed Paaduka Devi, but rather submitted themselves to her as though they are surrendering to Paaduka Devi. And when you are surrendering, hats off. They remove their kiritams and keep them at the footrest of Paaduka Devi. Indirectly, nobody could oppose Paaduka Devi. If they have opposed Paaduka Devi, their days are numbered. They are wiped out. If adversary kings are there wiped out, what about the friendly kings? They wanted to live a long time. They wanted to live. They made friends with Paaduka Devi. They made themselves a subordinate to Paaduka Devi. So the people who surrendered to Paaduka Devi, they voluntarily removed their kiritams and kept them at the footrest of near the Simhasanam of Paaduka Devi. And those who wanted to oppose Paaduka Devi were easily eliminated by Bharata. So both ways, the kiritams of all the kings ended up at the footrest of Paaduka Devi. It is like whether they opposed or they are friendly. Whether they are opposing Paaduka Devi or they are friendly with Paaduka Devi. In either case, their kiritams ended up at the footrest of Paaduka Devi. That is the beauty of Paaduka Devi. That is the greatness of Paaduka Devi. It is not that anybody treated Paaduka Devi with any kind of disrespect. If anybody showed any disrespect to Paaduka Devi, That's it. They will not live. Bharata will not tolerate it. So in the next verse, Vruddhi Patinam Yugapat Kiritah Pratyadhinam Pranitum Ardhinam Cha Prapustada Raghava Padarakshi Twadiyam Asthanika Padapitham. A very wonderful way of glorifying Paaduka Devi. If somebody wanted to live, there is only one way: surrender to Paaduka Devi. If somebody is thinking, can we oppose Paaduka Devi? That means their days are numbered. It is almost like during Paaduka Devi's rule, everybody enjoyed surrendering to the Paaduka Devi. So the greatness of Paaduka Devi is revealed time and again for all of us to learn the lesson that surrender to the Paaduka Devi, attaining moksham is much easier. And Ranganatha Padukas, Rama Padukas, Krishna Padukas, Srinivasa Padukas, they're all one and the same. Pranamya Rangeshwara Padarakshe Duropanitaihi Upada Visheshaihi Sabha Jayantisma Tada Subhaya Sabhaya Uccaihi Staram Uttara Kosalastvam Pranamya Rangeshwara Padarakshe Duropanitaihi Dura Upanitaihi Upada Visheshaihi Sabha Jayantisma Tada Sabhayam Uccaistaram Uttara Kosalahatvam. Hey Padukas of Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha, all the citizens of the northern Kosala land, Ayodhya is the capital, honored Paduka Devi with all respect, with the different varieties of most precious gifts brought from far off places, as Paaduka Devi was ruling Ayodhya. Everyone paid great respect. Entire population of northern Kosala, Uttara Kosala Desham. Kosala Desha Rajdhani is Ayodhya. They brought different precious gifts. Remember, there are some elementary rules. There are some elementary rules. Do you know why the subordinate kings brought some gifts when they came to pay their respects to Paaduka Devi? Yes, sir, any one of you? Nobody wants to say anything, man? Why the subordinate kings brought gifts, costly gifts from far off places and offered them to Paaduka Devi? Imma, anyone of you can guess or know the reason? Sadashiva, nobody wants to say anything?
Sorry, questions.
Because everybody is thinking, it's not me, it's not me.
Just
Imma,
like
anyone of
they,
you? Go ahead.
just like they pay respect to Rama.
Yes. In the Dharma Shastra, it is mentioned whenever you go to see somebody, if the other person you are going to see is that somebody, if the other person is a king, or if the other person is Bhagavan in a temple, or a king, or your Acharya, or when you are going to see a pregnant woman, or you are going to a house where there are children, you should never go empty-handed. That is the dharma. When somebody wants to visit Bhagavan, or a king, or their Acharya, or a pregnant woman, or some children, a person should never go empty-handed. They took whatever they can afford, patram, pushpam, param, toyam, yume bhakcha prayachati. Now that Paaduka Devi is there on the throne, Paaduka Devi is like the emperor. You should never go empty-handed to see an emperor. Therefore, they brought all the royal gifts and offered to Paaduka Devi. Now, these people came from far and wide, from everywhere. It is unimaginable news for them. It was na bhuto na bhavishyati. Never happened in the past that Padukas are being coronated and Padukas are kept on the Simhasana. And it's not going to happen again. Unless in another Mahayuga, Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra incarnates and he decides to run the Ramayana show as before. Otherwise, it's called na bhuto na bhavishyati. That is the reason why Paaduka Devi's rule is so much sought out. Everybody wanted Ranganatha Sri Rama Padukas. Now Mahatma Desika is going to Sri Ranganatha's Padukas. Apavruta dvaram ayantritasvam rangesha padavani purvamaset. त्वया यदृच्छ सुखसुप्तपन्थम् रामे वनस्तेऽपि पदं रघूणाम्. रामे वनस्थेऽपि पदं रघूणाम्. Hey Padukas of Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha, there was no law and order in Ayodhya after Rama left the forest and Dasharatha passed away on the sixth day night. Generally, when there is no king, when there is nobody to question, unfortunate events will happen. Law and order will break down. With nobody to close the open doors. That means royal safety is compromised. Why palaces are always guarded? Because the king is to be protected, royal safety. But when Sri Rama left the forest and Dasharatha passed away, everybody was in such a dejected mood. Nobody even bothered to close the open doors. And there is nobody to control even the horses, which are having their wild runs in the streets and scaring, and all the public are scared. But the minute Paaduka Devi was in command, the minute Paaduka Devi took over and became the emperor, all the travelers could sleep happily because they were carefree, because they know Paaduka Devi is ruling now. Because Paaduka Devi is ruling now, everybody is so scared. All the people who were resorting to violence, vandalism, etc., in the absence of a king, and in this case, Rama going to the forest and Dasharatha ascending to heavens. Nobody even felt Rama is not around in Ayodhya because Paaduka Devi was ruling them with so much of affection. Of course, yet very firm on dharma, very affectionate to everyone who wanted to surrender to Paaduka Devi, very strict with anyone and everyone who want to oppose Paaduka Devi. Paaduka Devi is capable of both. That is the reason why. If you look at Rama in a way, don't you think we feel very sorry? Imma, any one of you want to say Why people used to feel sorry for Lord Rama? Rama ruled Ayodhya for 11,000 years. Paaduka Devi ruled Ayodhya only for 14 years. Right from Mahatma Valmiki, everybody says Paaduka Devi's rule is the best. When Paaduka Devi was ruling Ayodhya, no woman ever became a widow. A child never died when the parents are alive. That is dharma. Paaduka Devi ruled only for 14 years, but excelled Rama's rule for 11,000 years. Rama gave Sharanagati. Rama accepted the Sharanagati of Sugriva, Vibhishana, etc. Sita Devi also accepted the Sharanagati of Trijata and all her female companions. But Mahatma Parashara Bhattara says, Laghutara Ramasya Goshti Kutaha. Sita Devi giving Sharanagati to Trijata and her friends far exceeded Rama's giving Sharanagati to Vibhishana, Sugriva, etc. So poor Rama, 11,000 years ruled India. But in just 14 years, Paaduka Devi and her ruling is considered better than Rama's ruling the country. Sita Devi is giving Sharanagati to Trijata and her followers. He is considered as way ahead of Rama's giving Sharanagati to Vibhishana and Sugriva, etc. It is not that Rama is in any way inferior. In the Vedic way, if a traveler that is a stranger, even if a stranger can sleep in peace in a new place, that is considered as a litmus test that the rule of law is there in that country. Even though you're a traveler, you're a stranger to that place, but still you are safe. You don't have to worry somebody will rob you. You don't have to worry somebody will kill you. So even when a stranger or a traveler can sleep in peace and happily and carefree, that is considered as a hallmark of dharma prevailing in the country. Dharma prevailing in the country. And that happened only during Paaduka Devi's rule. And so when Paaduka Devi is there ruling Ayodhya, all the travelers, all the strangers could sleep happily and carefree. Everybody knows Rama is in the forest. Nobody dared to break the law and order. Because everyone is completely aware of the fact. Everyone is aware that Paaduka Devi in charge of Ayodhya is the best of the best rule, compared even to Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra ruling Ayodhya. That is why the glorification of Paaduka Devi in so many ways. Ananya Bhaktihi Manipaduke Tvam. Ananya Bhaktihi. Abhyarchayan Dasharathyadvitiyah Vikalpyamanah Prathamena Kircha Vanyah Swayam Yomasadam Babhuva. So in this verse, Sadashiva, మీ ఫోన్ మ్యూట్ చేయండి. సదాశివ మీ ఫోన్ మ్యూట్ చేయండి. సదాశివ ఫోన్ మ్యూట్ చేస్తారా? So in the next verse, Mahatma Desika is glorifying Paaduka Devi as Ananya Bhaktihi Manipaduke Tvam. Ananya Bhaktihi, single-minded devotion to the Padukas. Abhyarchayan Dasharathe Dvitiyah Vikalpyamanah Prathamena Kircha Vandhyah Swayam Yomasadam Babhuva. He diamond-studded Padukas of Lord Sri Rama, worshipping you with utmost devotion and having been praised as equal to Dasharatha's firstborn Lord Sri Rama in name and fame, the second son of Dasharatha, namely Bharata, became worshipful even to all the gods, because Rama renounced his coronation to obey his father. Bharata also renounced his coronation. When Rama refused to have coronation, because if he accepts coronation, his father will not be able to keep up the promise. So Rama refused to get coronated. Bharata refused coronation because the property, the kingdom belongs to Rama and he cannot take. But Paaduka Devi, with all her Paratantam, obeyed Lord Rama and got the Pattabhishekam. Here they say Dasharatha's first son and Dasharatha's second son. Dasharathi Dvitiyaha. They could have simply said Bharata. But the poetic way of it, exaggeration is, instead of directly saying Bharata, the second son of Bharata. Vandyaha Swayam Yomasadam Babhuva. Bharata became worshipful even to all the Devi Devatas. Rama had a direct obligation to obey his father. Bharata did not have any such obligations. Nobody to question him. His mother is there as backup. Everyone is aware Bharata could easily accept the kingdom. But Bharata refused to accept the kingdom. Because of that, Bharata became so famous that even Devi Devatas come forward to worship Bharata. That is the greatness. That is why in the Veda mantras it says, Na karmana na prajaya dhani na tyage naike amrutatva manashuhu parinanatam nihitam guhayam vibhrajati yat yadayo vishanti vedanta vijnana sunischitartha sannyasa yogat yataya shuddha sattva. A person becomes famous not in acquiring wealth. A person becomes famous only when they renounce everything, when they renounce wealth. Rama not accepting the throne is due to his Satyavakya Paripalana and Pitruvakya Paripalana. Satyavakya Paripalana. But Bharata had no such obligation. In fact, it is mandated that Bharata should be the king as demanded by Kaikeyi and as approved by Dasharatha. So Bharata renounced the kingdom. Since Bharata renounced, he became very famous. That he became the worshipful deity even for Devi Devatas. That's why they say Tyagena Eke Amrutatva Manushahu. Go ahead, sir. There's just 5 minutes left, and if anyone of you have a question or something, please feel free to ask, sir. Imma, anyone of you, if you have a question, please, Amma. Anybody, Amma, any question? I had to go upstairs for Santana Gopalakrishna Puja, Amma. Any questions, Amma, anyone of you? Nobody wants to say anything? All right. We'll